Nikola Tesla. Chapter 1. The Boy Who Saw Invisible Light. Night in the small Balkan village of Smiljan was different from anywhere else in the world. It was quiet, untouched, raw, the kind of quiet that lets a young mind hear the hum of its own imagination. And in a small wooden house, lit only by a trembling oil lamp, a boy named Nikola Tesla stared out the window at a sky overflowing with stars. Most children saw darkness. Tesla saw patterns. He saw invisible structures, currents swirling between constellations, and possibilities that stretched beyond human reason. From the very beginning, Nikola Tesla was not like anyone around him. His mind didn't merely think, it generated. When he was a child, he imagined machines that could move on their own, powered not by horses or steam, but by forces no one could see. He didn't yet know these forces were electromagnetic waves, but he could feel them. He felt the world pulsing with energy hidden, silent, waiting for someone brave enough to understand it. And Tesla, even before he knew what he wanted to become, felt that the universe was whispering to him. The gift and the curse. Tesla was born with a strange and powerful mind. He did not simply remember images. He saw them, floating vividly in his imagination. He could rotate objects in perfect detail, take them apart, redesign them, and rebuild them all in his head. He once said, "I do not rush into actual work. When I get an idea, I start at once building it up in my imagination." This ability terrified his parents. To them, Nikola's mind was both a miracle and a danger. His father, Milutin Tesla, a stern but educated Orthodox priest, often tried to steer Nikola toward a safe life in literature and religion. But his mother, Duka, recognized something deeper in her son. She, too, was an inventor, creating tools, household devices, and clever mechanical instruments. Even though she never had formal schooling, she saw in him what no one else did. She believed he wasn't born to follow old paths. He was born to create new ones. Sometimes, late at night, she would sit beside him and whisper, "Nikola, what you see in your mind, the world will someday see in its hands." That sentence stayed with Tesla forever. It became the seed of his purpose. A purpose too big for his village, too big for his country, too big even for the century he lived in. The dream becomes a vision. Everything changed the year Tesla discovered electricity for the first time, not through wires, but in the sky. A violent storm ripped across the mountains near his home. Thunder roared so loudly that it shook the windows, and lightning tore the night open with white fire. But where others trembled, Tesla was mesmerized. He didn't see chaos. He saw energy, pure and unrestrained. He asked his father, "What is lightning?" His father replied gently, "It is the anger of the heavens." Tesla shook his head. "No, it is power. And someday, I will learn how to control it." He was only a boy, but the dream had taken hold. From that moment on, Tesla became obsessed with the idea that the forces of nature, even the most violent, could be understood and mastered, not merely for profit, not for glory, but to lift humanity higher. He believed electricity could transform the world, light every home, power every machine, and eventually eliminate human labor, war, poverty, and ignorance. He believed that technology, in the hands of vision, could make the world a better place, and that belief was the spark that would ignite everything to come, to the war within. But even geniuses are not spared from the battles of the soul. As Tesla grew older, he struggled with overwhelming sensitivity. Sounds were too loud, light was too bright, crowds were suffocating. He could not turn his thoughts off. His mind was a machine that never stopped running. He suffered from intense illnesses, hallucinations, and episodes of near madness, where flashes of blinding light overwhelmed his senses. Most people would have viewed these episodes as a curse. Tesla chose to interpret them as a signal that his mind was capable of reaching deeper levels of thought than most people ever touched. He learned to discipline his imagination through sheer mental training. He practiced memory to perfection. He eliminated distractions one by one. He lived with monastic discipline, structure, precision, control. He sharpened his mind until it became his greatest weapon. The mind is sharper and keener in seclusion and uninterrupted solitude. Many people doubted his choices. They called him strange. They mocked him. They said he lived too much in his head. But Tesla understood something they didn't. To create the future, you must be willing to disconnect from the noise of the present. A dream requires sacrifice, and Tesla sacrificed everything. The first big decision. Tesla excelled in school like a force of nature. He devoured books. He outperformed instructors. He solved mathematical problems in seconds. But when the time came to choose a path, his father tried once more to pull him toward religion. Then fate intervened. Tesla suffered a near-fatal illness as a young man, a sickness so severe that doctors told his family he wouldn't survive. On his deathbed, pale and barely able to speak, Tesla whispered to his father, "If you let me study engineering, I will recover." His father agreed. Tesla survived, and from that day on, he lived with even greater purpose, the kind that only comes to someone who has stood face to face with death and made a promise to life. The journey begins. Tesla enrolled in the engineering program at the Polytechnic School in Graz. There, he encountered something that would shape his destiny forever: the Gram dynamo, an early form of the electric generator. But Tesla noticed something others missed. The machine sparked, overheated, and wasted energy. He saw inefficiency, and inefficiency, to Tesla, was an insult to the elegance of nature. Right there in the classroom, Tesla envisioned a motor that would eliminate this flaw entirely. A motor with no contacts, no sparks, no friction. A motor powered only by alternating currents. Beautiful, smooth, flowing like waves. The AC motor, he saw it so clearly. It was as if someone had placed it in front of him. But to everyone else, the idea was impossible lunacy. Professors dismissed it. Students laughed. No one understood the magnitude of what Tesla had just conceived. But this is the nature of vision. The world mocks ideas it is not yet ready to believe. Tesla didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He simply said, "I know it exists. I see it." And so the dream became a mission. The decision that would change the world. Tesla graduated, but opportunities were scarce. He worked, struggled, drifted, but never gave up his dream. That dream pushed him across Europe and eventually led him to the place he believed would understand innovation: America. He arrived in New York with a letter of recommendation, a handful of coins, clothes that barely fit, and a dream that was bigger than anything he had ever known. He stepped onto American soil and whispered the words that would define his life: "I will electrify the world." Chapter 2. The storms that tempered the dream. The winter winds off the East River carried a particular sharpness that year, sharp enough to bite through wool coats, and even sharper when a man was struggling to keep his spirit alive. The young Nikola Tesla, tall yet seemingly fragile beneath his thin layers of clothing, walked the streets of New York City with steps that looked confident from afar but trembled with exhaustion up close. He had arrived with a dream brighter than the lights that would one day crown the world's cities. Yet, at this moment, he could barely afford a hot meal. But dreams, real dreams, are not measured by the comfort of one's meals. They are measured by how fiercely one guards the spark inside. when every outer circumstance tries to smother it. And for Tesla, this was the time of smothering. When Tesla proposed the idea of alternating current, he didn't merely propose a system, he proposed a revolution. But revolutions are rarely welcomed by those who profit from the status quo. In New York, the status quo had a name: Thomas Edison. Edison had already established his empire: the incandescent bulb, the power stations, the direct current DC networks, spreading slowly across the city. Tesla joined his company, hoping to contribute something grand, but quickly discovered that his ideas were not only unwelcome, they were treated as threats. Edison believed DC would rule the world. Tesla believed AC would light continents. Only one of them could be right. Tesla worked tirelessly for Edison, solving technical challenges others had given up on, designing improvements, refining mechanisms, making machines whisper in ways they never had before. He made Edison money, more money than he would ever see. Edison once told him, "When you finish these improvements, I'll give you $50,000. Tesla finished them. Edison laughed. "You don't understand our American humor." Some say Tesla did not respond. Others say he simply removed his coat, placed it neatly over his arm, and walked out of Edison's lab without a single word. Whichever version was true, one thing was certain: he left with dignity. But dignity did not pay rent. Life lesson: sometimes the world won't reward your brilliance. Sometimes it will even mock it. But brilliance does not vanish just because fools refuse to see it. Tesla's savings drained quickly, and with no stable opportunities, he found himself doing manual labor work far beneath his education, his skill, and even his natural physical strength. He dug ditches, literal trenches, mud, stone, sweat. He, the man who envisioned the future of global energy, now used his hands to break the earth beneath the feet of people who had no idea that a genius labored below them. Yet, every night, after his shift, Tesla would sit under the weak glow of a street lamp with a notebook in hand. His fingers were blistered, his palms torn, but his sketches remained steady. Coils, transformers, resonant circuits, induction motors, the inventions that would one day reshape the world, were scribbled beside stains of sweat and dirt. From a day of grueling physical labor, passers-by saw only a strange foreigner hunched over papers. They could not know the man was designing the backbone of a century. Narrator commentary: great dreams do not die in the mud. They rise from it. There was one night, Tesla would later admit, when despair nearly overcame him. The wind was brutal, the streets nearly empty, and he felt a loneliness so deep it was almost physical. Perhaps, he whispered to himself, this dream is not meant for this world. It is the quiet suggestions of surrender that often tempt the greatest minds at their weakest hour. But the world has a strange way of testing those on the brink of greatness. It pushes them not to destroy them, but to see whether they will push back. The next morning, Tesla's life changed. Not dramatically, not magically, but just enough. He met the man who would become his first great supporter, Alfred S. Brown, manager for Western Union. Brown introduced him to Charles Peck, a lawyer and investor with an instinct for recognizing brilliance others ignored. Your ideas, Peck told Tesla after listening to his explanation of AC, sound impossible to most ears. But impossibility is often the first mask of innovation. With that, they agreed to back him. But backing him did not mean immediate money. It meant something more important: belief. Belief, as Tesla realized, is the true currency of human greatness. With Peck and Brown's support, Tesla rented a small workshop at 3335 South Fifth Avenue. It was dimly lit, sparse, and far from glamorous. But to him, it was a cathedral. Here, in this humble space, filled with copper wires, magnets, coils, and wooden tables. Tesla built what would become the beating heart of modern electrical power, the AC induction motor. There were nights when sparks crackled across the room, when light filled the space in eerie flashes, and when the neighbors wondered whether a madman was summoning lightning itself. In a way, he was. Tesla worked with single-minded intensity. He barely slept. He skipped meals. He forgot the world outside even existed. For where there is obsession, time becomes irrelevant. Brown once entered the lab and found Tesla lying on the floor, exhausted, his hair singed slightly from an accidental discharge. "Nikola," he said, "you must rest." Tesla stood up immediately. "I have no time for rest. The world is waiting." But the world was not waiting. The world was resisting. When Edison learned that Tesla was developing an AC system, he did not react with calm acceptance. No, he launched what history would call the War of Currents. Edison used fear, an old and easy tool. He funded public demonstrations to show AC as dangerous, electrocuting animals to prove his point. Newspapers published warnings. Investors wavered. Public trust fractured. Tesla's dream appeared fragile in the storm of propaganda. But he did not retaliate with hostility. He retaliated with results. He demonstrated the safety of AC, not through cruelty, but through confidence, letting current pass through his own body during lectures, lighting lamps with seemingly magical efficiency, and showing the public the truth. Edison could not hide forever. AC was simply superior. Still, the attacks slowed his progress. Funding stalled. Manufacturers hesitated. Supporters wavered. Motivational insight. When your idea is too far ahead of its time, people don't just doubt it, they fear it. And fear will try to destroy what it cannot understand. Despite his breakthroughs, Tesla's financial situation crumbled again. Peck and Brown supported him, but profits had not yet arrived. Materials cost money. Prototypes cost money. Mistakes cost even more. Tesla refused to compromise on quality. He refused to take shortcuts. He refused to abandon ethics for quick gain. He would rather starve than produce something flawed. And so, once again, he wandered close to bankruptcy. There were days he nearly closed the lab. Days he nearly let the electricity in his coils die out. Days when he had to choose between paying for copper wire or paying for food. Copper wire always won. One evening, Tesla sat alone in his workshop. The lamps were dim. The last of the gas flickered weakly. Rain hammered against the windows, as though the world itself were reminding him that time was running out. He pressed his palms against the table, covered in sketches and circuits. "If I fail," he whispered, "humanity loses decades. But dreams do not yield to fear, not when they are held by hands that refuse to tremble." Just when the last threads of hope were fraying, a letter arrived from George Westinghouse, a man known not only for his industrial success, but also for his willingness to invest in bold ideas. Westinghouse had heard of Tesla's AC motor. He had read Tesla's patents. He had seen demonstrations. He knew the future when he saw it. He invited Tesla to Pittsburgh. The journey was long and cold, but Tesla traveled with newfound energy. When he met Westinghouse, there was no arrogance, no mockery, no dismissal, only admiration. "Mr. Tesla," Westinghouse said, "your system will change the world. I want to help you make that happen." After years of rejection, insult, hardship, and poverty, someone finally spoke to Tesla, the words he had waited a lifetime to hear. Tesla sold his patents to Westinghouse for a sum that would rescue him from his struggles. But more importantly, Westinghouse signed a contract promising Tesla royalties for every horsepower of electricity produced. Had this agreement lasted unchanged, Tesla would have become one of the richest men in history. But that is a tale for another chapter. For now, what mattered was this: Tesla's dream had found a home, and the world was about to be changed forever. Narrator insight: success rarely arrives early. It arrives only after the world has tested your determination thoroughly. If you quit during the test, the reward never comes. Tesla once said, "The harder the challenge, the greater the victory that follows." He believed that obstacles existed not to punish him, but to prepare him. Every insult from Edison made him more disciplined. Every night of hunger sharpened his focus. Every failed prototype taught him patience. Most people look at challenges and see walls. Tesla looked at challenges and saw ladders. He climbed. He kept climbing. And eventually, he rose above every doubt. This chapter of Tesla's life teaches one central truth: greatness does not bloom in comfort. It is forged in struggle, tempered by failure, and sealed by persistence. Tesla's hardships were not detours from his destiny. They were necessary steps toward fulfilling it. By the time Tesla partnered with Westinghouse, the tide had begun to turn. The world had not yet embraced ACK, but the foundation had been laid. The storm had not passed, but Tesla had proven that he could withstand its harshest winds. And though darkness had surrounded him for years, he had clung to the one light no one could extinguish: the belief that his purpose was bigger than the pain. Chapter 2 ends not with triumph, but with the lifting of a man who had nearly fallen. It ends with opportunity dawning after night's longest hours, and in the distance, far but approaching the future, awaits a man who dares to imagine a world fully illuminated. Chapter 3: The Rise of a Visionary. Dawn broke over Pittsburgh with a faint glow, as if the sun itself were hesitant to interrupt the quiet hum of industry that never truly slept. Thick plumes of steam drifted from factories along the river. Chimneys exhaled their metallic breaths into the cool morning air, and trains clattered like restless giants across the bridges. This was a city of iron, gears, and ambition, an empire built on grit and machinery. Into this roaring world walked a man whose mind blazed brighter than any furnace. Nikola Tesla, tall, finely dressed, eyes burning with the clarity of someone who already saw tomorrow. His partnership with George Westinghouse had just begun, and with it, the next era of electricity. The hardships of New York were not forgotten, but they were now behind him. Ahead lay the chance to transform the world, not merely to survive in it. Tesla did not want comfort. He wanted revolution. And that revolution was about to begin. Inside the Westinghouse headquarters, engineers crowded around Tesla, the way scholars once gathered around philosophers. He walked with purpose through the drafting rooms, the laboratories, the machine shops. Everywhere he went, silence fell. Everyone could sense it. They were standing in the presence of someone who carried the future as naturally as others carried notebooks. Westinghouse welcomed Tesla warmly. "Nikola," he said, "your AC system, it will bring light across this nation, and I want you to lead the team that will build it." Tesla gave a small, grateful nod. "Then let us give the world a gift worthy of its potential." And so they began. The challenge ahead. Westinghouse engineers were brilliant, but none fully grasped the breadth of Tesla's ideas. Alternating current was still foreign, misunderstood, and often feared. How can electricity be allowed to reverse direction? Won't it lose power over distance? Isn't this dangerous? Tesla did not dismiss the questions. He addressed them one by one patiently, thoroughly, elegantly. He explained how AC could travel vast distances with minimal loss, how transformers could raise or lower voltage efficiently, how induction motors could power entire cities with remarkable simplicity. His explanations were not lectures, they were revelations. And yet, not everyone was convinced. the ghost of Edison's propaganda still lingered. Some spoke in whispers. Is Tesla a genius or a madman? He heard them. He ignored them. Because great minds do not need agreement, they need freedom. Tesla's inventions began taking shape. Solid, humming, alive. Coils wound with perfect precision. Motors built with delicate mathematical balance. Transformers humming like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. The moment one device came alive, Tesla would immediately see 10 improvements. His mind leapt ahead faster than his hands could follow. He often worked through the night. Engineers would find him at dawn, still standing over a workbench, hair disheveled, coat discarded, blue electrical light dancing across his fingertips as he tested magnetic fields with instinctive grace. Tesla did not merely build machines. He communed with them. The first AC power system prototype. Within months, the Westinghouse lab housed the world's most advanced AC system. Generators capable of supplying alternating current. Transformers designed with Tesla's unique coil geometries. Polyphase AC motors spinning smoothly and silently. Control panels that looked like instruments of a futuristic ship. For the first time in history, a complete AC power network existed not as theory, not as hope, but as a fully functioning machine. Westinghouse stood beside Tesla as they watched the first large induction motor operate continuously for hours. "It's magnificent," Westinghouse whispered. Tesla's gaze was steady. "This is only the beginning." Narrator, commentary. The world does not change all at once. It changes when one man refuses to stop pushing. Even as Tesla's AC system finally breathed life, the one man who opposed him most fiercely began to feel threatened. Thomas Edison. The word had spread that Westinghouse was developing AC generators for entire cities. Edison saw the tide turning, and he intended to stop it by any means necessary. The war of currents intensifies. AC versus DC. Tesla versus Edison. New world versus old empire. Newspapers became battlegrounds. Pamphlets carried half-truths and full lies. Demonstrations escalated. Edison's agents staged public electrocutions of large animals using AC. They exaggerated dangers, insisted AC would kill children, and claimed Tesla's system could burn down entire cities. In one particularly cruel demonstration, an elephant named Topsy was electrocuted all to send a message. AC is deadly. Tesla was horrified. He did not strike back. He did not engage in theatrics. He simply continued his work with dignity. Tesla's response. When reporters asked him to comment on Edison's attacks, Tesla spoke with calm precision. "Let the results speak." The truth does not fear scrutiny. It was not a witty comeback. It was a philosophy. And history remembers philosophies longer than insults. In 1893, Chicago announced the upcoming World's Columbian Exposition, a monumental fair meant to celebrate progress, culture, technology, and the dawning of a new century. The city needed a massive electrical system to light the fairgrounds, thousands of lamps, exhibits, and pavilions. Edison bid using his DC system. Westinghouse bid using Tesla's AC system. Westinghouse's bid was lower because AC was more efficient, but politics favored Edison, and yet Chicago made its choice. They chose Tesla's AC. The victory sent shockwaves across the industry. The war was not over, but the world had begun to turn. Tesla at the fair. The night the fair opened, crowds gathered in darkness. The switch was thrown. Thousands of lamps burst into radiant brilliance. White, pure, beautiful. The fair glowed like a kingdom of stars. People gasped. Children cheered. The future had arrived. And Tesla stood quietly in the background, hands folded behind him, watching the world admire the work he had once sketched under a street lamp in poverty. The press finally acknowledged the truth. AC power is the future. Tesla lights the world. Edison is defeated. Motivational insight. Success is not an explosion. It is an accumulation. It is the quiet stacking of small victories built in the shadows until the world finally turns to look, as if fate conspired to crown Tesla's achievements. An even greater opportunity soon emerged. The Niagara Falls Power Project. One of the most ambitious engineering feats in human history. The idea was simple but majestic. Harness the power of the mighty waterfalls to provide electricity to an entire region. Dozens of companies proposed solutions. Engineers from Europe submitted designs. Investors debated endlessly. Yet one name continued to rise above the noise. Nikola Tesla. One of the commissioners said, "No man alive understands power transmission better." Another added, "If electricity has a future, Tesla will be the one to show us." The decision, finally, the committee announced. Tesla's AC system would be used. It was the moment his entire life had pointed toward. From a boy in Smiljan, dreaming of harnessing the forces of nature, to a struggling inventor digging trenches, to standing here, chosen to command one of the greatest natural powers on Earth. Tesla's journey had come full circle. Building the impossible, construction began. Thousands of workers carved tunnels beneath the falls, blasted rock, laid pipelines, and built generators. Tesla's polyphase system guided every blueprint, every calculation. When the generators spun for the first time, powering Buffalo, New York, newspapers declared, "Tesla turns night into day. Niagara Falls is conquered. A new era begins." Narrator, commentary. Greatness is not given by fortune. Greatness is earned by endurance. With Niagara Falls complete, Tesla vaulted to international fame. Newspapers printed his portrait. Universities invited him to speak. Inventors and scholars traveled great distances to hear him. At lectures, he would demonstrate AC with flourishes that bordered on theatrical. He allowed current to pass through his body to light lamps he held in his hands. He produced glowing arches of electricity that danced like living ghosts. He controlled machines remotely, ideas far ahead of their time. The world no longer whispered. The world applauded. Yet, fame was not his goal. While others reveled in attention, Tesla brushed it aside. He did not want celebrity. He wanted progress. So he turned his attention to new frontiers: wireless power, transmission, high-frequency resonance circuits, radio waves, robotics, X-ray imaging, Earth resonance principles, and one dream that would become his lifelong pursuit: unlimited wireless energy for the whole planet. But dreams this large attract not only supporters, they attract enemies. On Long Island, Tesla began constructing a massive tower, Wardenclyffe, the first prototype of his wireless global energy network. He envisioned a world where electricity flowed through the air, free and abundant for all, where no city would ever again be dark, where no home would ever again be helpless, where communication could encircle the globe instantly. It would be the most transformative invention in history. But to build it, he needed money, millions. And so he partnered with J.P. Morgan, the most powerful banker of the era. Morgan funded the early construction, but Morgan misunderstood Tesla's intentions. When he learned Tesla planned to transmit electricity wirelessly and freely across the world, he famously said, "If anyone can draw on the power, where do we put the meter?" Morgan withdrew further support. Investors followed his lead. Construction slowed, then stopped. The tower stood, unfinished, like a wounded monument to human potential. Tesla's reaction: he never publicly complained. He never lashed out. He simply said, "We have built too much for profit. Let us build for the future." Behind those words, though, was heartbreak. After the triumph of AC and the recognition from Niagara Falls, Tesla's life entered a second phase, one not defined by competition or survival, but by vision. He evolved from a brilliant engineer into a philosopher-inventor, someone who contemplated not only what machines could do, but what humanity should become. He lived simply. He walked for hours to clear his mind. He refused riches, believing they would corrupt his purpose. Money was never his measure of success. His measure was transformation. He believed in clean energy, global connectivity, elevating human consciousness, reducing labor through automation, living in harmony with nature. He once wrote, "The present is theirs. The future, for which I work, is mine." And indeed, the world he envisioned is the world we live in today. Narrator commentary. Every great transformation begins with a visionary people call unrealistic, but the world is eventually reshaped by unrealistic people. Tesla's success came with silent costs. He had few close friends, no spouse, no children, no financial empire like Edison, no business legacy like Westinghouse. He gave the world light, but often lived in darkness himself. He revolutionized the planet, yet died nearly penniless. He built the foundation of modern electricity, yet others received the profits. This was the paradox of Tesla. The world celebrated him, but rarely compensated him. But he never complained. He had transcended the desire for wealth long ago. He worked not for reward, but for the joy of creation. He once said, "What one man calls God, another calls the laws of physics." To Tesla, invention was not work, it was worship. By the early 1900s, Tesla had already achieved more than most men across entire lifetimes. He won the War of Currents. He lit the Chicago World's Fair. He conquered Niagara Falls. He created the polyphase electrical system. He set the foundation for modern radio. He built early robotics. He explored wireless energy. He introduced remote control. He influenced theories that would guide future physics. Every corner of modern life carries his fingerprints. Yet during his own time, many of his contributions were overshadowed by louder men, richer men, more politically connected men. But history has a way of correcting its course. Today, the world speaks his name with reverence. Tesla, the genius. Tesla, the visionary. Tesla, the man who electrified the modern age. Tesla's life teaches one truth more clearly than any academic text ever could. Success is not the absence of hardship. Success is the mastery of hardship. Every setback he endured, poverty, isolation, betrayal, sabotage, was part of the refining fire that shaped him. He did not become great despite suffering. He became great through it. When the world doubted him, he believed. When the world ignored him, he persisted. When the world resisted him, he innovated. He transformed. Rejection into resilience, failure into foundation, loneliness into clarity, vision into reality. Tesla's transformation was not merely professional, it was spiritual. He realized that purpose is not something one finds. Purpose is something one builds. As this chapter ends, Tesla stands at the height of his influence. The world finally understands what he had always known, that electricity is the bloodstream of civilization. And he, Nikola Tesla, shaped its flow. But even as he reached these heights, new storms gathered on the horizon, storms of finance, politics, and shifting industries. Yet Tesla was unshaken, for he had become something greater than an inventor. He had become a symbol, a reminder of what humanity can achieve when imagination refuses to kneel. Chapter 4. The Laws of Genius. Tesla's philosophies, quotes, and rules for a meaningful life. In the final years of Nikola Tesla's life, long after the crowds had faded and the flash of newspapers no longer arrived at his door. The man who once electrified the world spent his days in a quiet hotel room in New York. To outsiders, he looked like a forgotten inventor. To history, he would become something far greater, a symbol of pure intellect, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of a dream no one else could see. But in those silent hours, Tesla was not mourning the world's indifference. He was reflecting, thinking, distilling decades of triumphs, failures, betrayals, and breakthroughs into a set of truths, laws of life that came not from comfort, but from a lifetime of standing alone against impossibility. And it is from these moments of deep reflection that Tesla's philosophies emerged, guiding generations long after his passing. This chapter is the echo of those lessons, the distilled wisdom of a man who spent his life chasing the future. Tesla believed the mind was the true engine of the universe, not machines, not electricity, not metal or wires, just thought. He once said, "The mind is sharper and faster than any machine." To Tesla, the quality of your life depended on the quality of the thoughts you allowed into your mind. He taught, guard your imagination, dream boldly, but purposefully, think in detail. Tesla built entire machines in his head before touching a tool. Focus without distraction. True creation requires silence, isolation, and commitment. Do not pollute your mind with noise. The world is loud. Clarity is power. Tesla didn't merely think positively. He thought precisely. He believed that if you can hold a vision clearly enough, reality eventually bends to meet it. The lesson? What you think determines what you build. What you build determines who you become. Tesla's most famous quote is not just scientific, it's spiritual. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Everything, success, failure, happiness, love, creativity operates at a frequency. Tesla believed that your thoughts broadcast a signal. Your emotions shape the vibration of your life. Your habits determine your long-term frequency. This wasn't mystical to him. It was physics. If your mind vibrates at fear, doubt, and hesitation, success cannot resonate with you. If you vibrate at confidence, discipline, and purpose, the universe synchronizes with your direction. Tesla's rule was simple. Before you change the world, tune yourself. Tesla was not afraid of being alone. He embraced it deeply. Where others saw loneliness, Tesla saw clarity. Where others needed company, Tesla needed silence. Where others sought approval, Tesla sought ideas. He believed solitude is where the mind can finally hear itself. His reflections taught, stillness breeds creativity. Solitude separates your inner voice from the noise of society. Isolation is not a weakness. It is a refinement. Tesla's life shows that many of the world's breakthroughs are born not in crowds, but in quiet rooms where one mind dares to explore what others fear to imagine. Tesla, humorously pointing out the need for uncompromised dedication. But behind the humor was a truth. Great work demands sacrifice. Tesla worked through illness, betrayal, financial collapse, and exhaustion. He kept going because he believed in the value of his mission. His lessons on perseverance include: purpose must be stronger than obstacles. Ignore the applause. Ignore the criticism. Work quietly. Let results speak decades later. Most people quit when effort is high and rewards are low. Tesla persisted when rewards were non-existent. Why? Because he wasn't working for the present. He was working for the future. Tesla understood something most people never grasp. Recognition is delayed, but impact is permanent. For years, Tesla was dismissed. His inventions were mocked. His ideas were called impossible. But he didn't need validation. He needed progress. Tesla's philosophy reveals: build for tomorrow, not today. Visionaries are never understood in real time. Your dream doesn't need to be accepted. It needs to be pursued. Let time be your judge, not people. Tesla's entire life is proof that the world may ignore you now, but if your work is real, the future will remember your name. This quote reveals Tesla's deepest belief: innovation is sacred. To Tesla, creation wasn't about competition, it was about contribution. His lessons on creativity include: do not steal ideas, create them. Do not mimic the crowd, break the pattern. Do not follow trends, invent new directions. Tesla believed the world moves forward because of minds brave enough to challenge the boundaries of normal thinking. Innovation, he taught, is not an act, it is a responsibility. Tesla worked relentlessly, often sleeping only a few hours a night. He treated discipline not as punishment, but as liberation. He believed you cannot achieve excellence casually. Tesla's rules for discipline: do more than others think you should. Study harder than others think necessary. Work longer than others. Consider reasonable. Stay committed long after excitement fades. His life proves that discipline transforms genius from potential into reality. Tesla did not chase money. He did not chase fame. He did not chase approval. He chased purpose. Everything he built, AC, electricity, radio technology, turbines, wireless power, remote control, was meant to improve humanity, not enrich himself. His philosophy of purpose was clear: do not chase success, chase meaning. Do not chase wealth, chase contribution. The right purpose will carry you through the darkest struggles. Work fueled by ego dies quickly. Work fueled by purpose becomes a legacy. Tesla faced betrayal, mockery, corporate sabotage, and failure. Yet he remained emotionally unbroken. His resilience came from 3 beliefs. Truth will reveal itself with time. What is real cannot be destroyed. Your value is not determined by people, but by impact. Tesla teaches us: do not react to every insult. Do not collapse under every disappointment. Do not let temporary setbacks define the permanent future. Emotional strength is not avoiding pain. It is enduring it without losing direction. Despite being one of the greatest minds in history, Tesla carried humility toward the unknown. He believed knowledge is infinite. Certainty is the enemy of discovery. Curiosity is the beginning of genius. Tesla understood that arrogance closes the mind, but humility keeps it open. This is why he continued learning until the end of his life, always questioning, always exploring. From his entire life and legacy, we can extract Tesla's core principles. Think deeply. Protect your imagination. Value solitude. Pursue originality. Work for the future, not today. Ignore applause. Ignore doubt. Discipline your mind. Focus intensely on one purpose. Detach from noise and distractions. Be patient with slow results. Let your work speak for you. Do not chase money. Money chases impact. Allow yourself to dream beyond logic. Be emotionally unshakable. Leave something that will outlive you. These are not just rules. They are Tesla's blueprint for a life of meaning.